Welcome back to Conversation with Buddy. I'm your host, Buddy Puckett. Well, thanks for being here again this Friday. We do this every Friday. We love doing this. Hey, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel and joined our community, would you just hit the button there to subscribe? If you listen to Apple Podcast or a different podcast platform, just click on one of those. If you'd share it with someone, that would be awesome. We love to just get these testimonies out and hopefully encourage some people. So this morning we have a great guest. I've never met this guy before. He loves music. He loves Jesus. So that's pretty cool. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Tennison Shetler. Welcome, Tennison.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Dude, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah.
So this is your first podcast.
It is actually,
But you've been on the radio before, apparently?
Yeah, radio interviews, stuff like that, but this is the first podcast.
Okay. Well, dude, we're going to have a good time.
Wait, you know what? Oh, yeah, technically first podcast. I was thinking of something, but it was radio as well.
Okay, cool. Well, dude, we're going to dive deep into your life, man. We're going to find all about the good and the bad, right? There's no bad.
There's plenty of both.
Oh, there's plenty of both. Okay, I thought that was just me. So.
No.
Well, cool. Well, brother, you grew up in Silverton, right?
Yeah, I'm originally from Silverton. I have lots of relatives in that area.
Okay.
Still. Yeah.
The Shetlers are out there.
There's a lot of Shetlers out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I know you're into music. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your album that you got going on here. But we're gonna save that to the very end because that's the good stuff. So let's talk about you. Where'd you grow up? I always like to know. I want you to talk about mom and dad, siblings, your family.
Yeah.
I want to hear how they impacted you. So yeah, go for it.
Oh gosh, mom and dad are, the most influential people in my life. If you were to look at the whole thing, still have a very close relationship with them. My parents both grew up Mennonite, actually, on different sides of the country, one in Oregon, one in Pennsylvania. And they, in the late 70s, started to get involved with like the Jesus movement and like what was happening with that, especially out here on the West Coast. And so by the time I was born, we were part of not a Mennonite church, but just like a small non-denom church out in Silverton. And actually, do you know where Central Howell is? Mm-hmm. So it's just, a blip on the map. In the late 70s, there was a Christian community at Central Howell, and they would take in people off the streets, people that the cops didn't know what else to do with. Like they would bring them in and give them a place to be. My parents were some of the people running that. And so when I was first born, I was born in the Silverton Hospital, but when I came home, it was to this tiny cottage at Central Howell, it's still there. It's all like run down and falling apart. But my earliest memory is actually of seeing a rainbow over the field on the north side of Silverton Road there, like right across from Central Howell. I was little, like a year and a half, 2 years old, like really, really little. I have this vague memory. So my parents, as you can tell from that story, were pretty on fire for Jesus at that point. And that has continued all the way through. I mean, I've spent my whole life seeing both of my parents pursuing a relationship with Jesus.
Love that,
and
dude.
That's had a huge impact of seeing that, Christianity, this idea of following Jesus, it's not a Sunday morning thing. It's a on-the-job site, in the kitchen, at the dining room table. And I'm not saying my parents are perfect people. That's not remotely what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is I've watched two people intentionally pursuing a relationship with Jesus for decades now.
Yeah.
And, they've got their own messy, rough journey as we all do.
We all have a past, man.
And so I'm not trying to glamorize my parents, but I am saying I think they're wonderful people and they've had a huge impact on my life. And certainly my relationship with Jesus is very much from seeing them individually have a relationship with Jesus. I have 3 siblings. I have one older brother and then a younger sister and a younger brother. And we were very close growing up. We live all over the place now. And so not one of us lives in the same place as any of the others. So we're all over the place. But growing up, we moved around a lot. My parents were doing missions, doing ministry, some of it overseas, some of it here in the country. Got involved a lot with Youth with a Mission.
YWAM. Okay, yeah, YWAM.
And so that took us all over the place, and some pretty crazy stories that I'm not going to tell on here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
And so, those are difficult things to walk through, especially when you're a kid or a teenager. But walking through that, like for us 4 siblings, we were our community. You know what I mean? Like when you move somewhere and you don't know anybody, well, you're your community.
Yeah.
And we homeschooled. And so we were at home, which helped logistically with, moving around a lot, not having to get back into schools and all of that. So yeah, good relationships with my siblings. Like it's messy and complicated as life is, but they're great people, and they're all just, very unique personalities.
It's
and
funny.
I'm like classic middle child.
Okay.
And so like I relate to each one of them, and sometimes maybe they're not getting along or whatever, but it's like I'm the one in the middle going, oh, I like you and I like you.
Yeah.
Hey.
A mediator kind of.
Right.
Well, what's the first memory you have of moving from Silverton? So you started there. You said you moved a lot. Where'd you move to?
We moved to Alaska
Okay.
when I was like 2.5, 3, something like that. My parents went up there to do a similar type of ministry to what they were doing at Central Howell. And so we moved up there, lived there for like 3 years. And I have a lot of memories of that. I mean,
really? I don't have any memories of being 5 or less,
Well, here's what's funny. I've noticed this. One of the benefits of moving around is that it categorizes your life. And so because I have stints where we lived in one place for a while, and this is going to sound really funny. The longest I've ever lived in one house was 6 years.
Wow.
But those 6 years at that house might as well be 1 year. It's all lumped together. It's just one thing.
Yeah.
And so if you live your whole life at one place, 20 years, chances are you're not going to remember those 20 years near as well as I'm going to remember the 20 years where I lived at 8 different places.
Right.
Because each of them has their own category. It's fascinating. I have cousins who still live in the Silverton area. Right. And my family is really cool. Like my extended Shetler family, like a whole bunch of us cousins, similar in age. We get along, we do things together. Like it's pretty cool, really cool. But comparing notes with them, it's funny how I'll say something like, oh yeah, there was this time when I was 12 and da 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 da. And they're just like, how do you remember this stuff? And I said, well, or they'll be like, how do you know you were 12? They have all these memories. They don't know when it happened. And I said, well, because we lived in Haines, Oregon for 1 year when I was 12. And I know that happened when we lived there. And so that's how I know that's when it happened.
Yeah.
And so it's a fascinating result, a fascinating consequence of living a lot of different places is you remember all of it. Anyway.
That's cool. Fascinating consequences.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Alaska, then we came back to Oregon, lived here for a little while. Then we went to Jamaica as missionaries.
Jamaica. Come on.
Yeah.
How was that?
I was 11.
A white guy in Jamaica.
Yeah, it was cool because you're in Jamaica, right?
Yeah. We
did a lot of snorkeling, ate a lot of really great tropical stuff that you don't eat in Western Oregon.
Yeah.
I'm fair-skinned.
Yeah.
So lots of hats and sunblock and sunburns.
Yeah. How long are you guys in Jamaica?
We weren't there that long. We went there kind of on a scouting trip to see like, hey, is this something we want to do long term? We ended up being there 3 months.
Okay.
But again, as an 11-year-old, that feels like a long time.
Yeah.
It was a wild time. We were all over the island visiting different ministries and missionaries and pretty crazy stuff. There's also some stories there I probably won't tell on here.
Why would you? I mean, what is about the story? What was going on that would say, I don't really want to tell a story? What's that about?
Just stuff that if I told it, people would be like, I don't think that really happened.
Like a spiritual,
spiritual stuff.
All right, come on. Let's hear one. Let's hear one story.
Okay, I'll tell a tame one that nobody can get in trouble for this because I have no idea who did it. A voodoo sacrifice was left on our doorstep one time in Jamaica. It was a dead goat that had been sacrificed. And so we woke up to that present on our front porch in the morning. And as an 11-year-old, especially, that was like pretty like, whoa, what is happening. Jamaica's a wild place. I don't know if you've ever been there, if you've heard
been
stories.
There.
Yeah.
But I don't know the story. What's the story behind that?
Well, it's just such a contrast.
Mm-hmm.
You have all the resorts.
Yeah.
All the cruise ships stop there.
Right.
And then, you go out the gates from the resort
right.
and you're in the Wild West.
Right.
I mean, it's a very violent place. It's a very, shall I say, immoral place.
Okay.
I think when we were there in 1990, the stat was something like 90% of all babies born in Jamaica are born out of wedlock.
I had no idea. Yeah.
But they know the Bible better than we know the Bible because the Bible is taught in public schools in Jamaica.
What's the disconnect?
Well, the disconnect is the same disconnect that we experience. It's where we treat Christianity like a religion rather than a lifestyle. And that has kind of become the central theme of my whole life is constantly confronting that issue. Cultural Christianity is simply when you're a Christian because your culture is Christian and you go to church because that's what your culture does. We lived in Nashville for 8 years, which is the Bible Belt, or kind of. I call it the North-South.
The northern part of the Bible Belt.
It's the northern part of the South.
Yeah.
But cultural Christianity is huge down there.
Yeah, cultural.
It's just what you do.
Yeah, went to church. Cool. Yeah, that's the thing I do on Sunday.
Right. And from a distance, I used to hear like country music, and they're singing about what they're doing on Friday night, and then going to church on Sunday morning, and just being like, okay, that's different than what I think of as a Christian. And then you move there and you go, oh, I get it now. Like it's just a totally cultural, it's expected that you go to church, but it doesn't really mean anything. And we're getting off a little bit here.
No, we're right on schedule, man.
So I'm 5 months into resigning from my worship pastor position.
Okay. And where are you at when you're doing this?
I was in Albany.
Oh, you're in Albany. Okay.
Yeah. And so during these last 5 months, I've been working carpentry again, which is a trade that I've bounced in and out of. I learned it from my dad, and so I've done it forever. I was, the cut man on a full house build when I was 12 with the skill saw. So, I mean, I've spent a lot of time doing carpentry.
Yeah.
But all of that to say, so these last 5 months, I've been doing a deep dive on church history. Yeah. Because I'm like, the reason I resigned was I have some questions about what we call church on Sunday morning and what it looks like and what our expectations are for it. And so I thought, well, hey, I want to just like go as deep as I can on what is this thing that we call church? Because the New Testament really doesn't talk about it hardly at all. And there's a lot of takeaways from this, a lot of stuff I'm still processing and still chewing on. But one of the most fascinating tidbits I came across is some guy was talking about how with the Roman gods, it was normal and completely acceptable that as long as you went to the correct temple at the correct time and did the correct sacrifice that God was looking for, it really it didn't matter what the rest of your life looked like, because all that God was looking for was that you come to their temple at the right time and do this little thing. Yeah. And so it's like, oh shoot, it's that day, it's that time, I better show up and here's my little offering, my sacrifice, whatever it is, the ritual, whatever. And then I go about my life. And he was saying, well, I don't even remember if he said this or if I just connected these dots of like, oh my goodness, this has been around a long time, this expectation that my life is my life. And as long as I give unto the gods or the God what it seems like he's looking for, which is, hey, come to church on Sunday morning and sit there bored out of your skull for an hour and a half and then leave. But at least you've done your thing that God was looking for. Which is crazy because that's not remotely what God is looking for, according to the Bible. All of that to say, that's what cultural Christianity is. And so in a place like Jamaica, it was amazing because I was a kid, so it wasn't me, but I would watch my dad get into conversations with people on the street.
Yeah.
And they knew the Bible, like they were just quoting passages out of the Bible to him, stoned out of their mind, you know, like, because Rastafarianism is the religion in Jamaica.
Okay.
Ganja, marijuana.
Yeah.
They smoke it. It lives inside of them. Like, it's this whole wacky thing. But they know the Bible because they grew up learning the Bible in school.
Yeah.
So it's a wild place. And as an 11-year-old, like, there's stuff that I encountered in Jamaica that I shouldn't have at that age.
Yeah.
And there's battles, there's things that I wrestle with that, like, things that got imprinted where you're just like, wow, that was an odd place to be as an 11-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're just walking through the market, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so immoral, like, it's just dripping with it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't even know what that is, but
that's heavy.
It's a wild place.
Yeah. Hey, when did you first accept Christ? You know, talking about relationship with Jesus, not religion.
Yeah.
But when did you say, hey, I'm all in?
You know, as much as I kind of resist that kind of language at this point,
right.
I can't deny that I know when it happened for me. And so I'm like, well, there is something to it.
Yeah.
I was, I think, 4 years old, 4 or 5, somewhere in there. It was in Alaska.
Okay.
And it was on a Sunday night. There was something that had happened at church. I have no idea what. I don't know what the message was. I don't know what I heard. Obviously, my whole life at that point was lived in and around ministry already, because that's my parents. That's what they were, just constantly home groups and whatever.
Right.
But something had happened that day to where that night I went into my parents' bedroom and I was like pretty worked up. And I was like, I need to, like, I don't even know what language I would have had for it, but basically I need to ask Jesus into my heart, you know, like, and my parents were already in bed and they recognized, like, oh wow, like something's going on here. And they prayed with me, and that is when I accepted him and when I started following him. But the funny thing about following is that it's constant and it's present,
right?
Or it's not following.
That's right.
I think it's so funny. Like, if we went out into the parking lot,
right,
and I picked a car and I said, "Hey, buddy, do you see that red car over there? I want you to follow that car."
Rest of your life.
And then you're like, "Yeah, I got it." And then we're talking, and the red car drives away, and I'm like, "Buddy, I thought you said you were gonna." And you're, yeah. I've decided, Tennison, I have decided to follow the red car. And I'd be like, cool, but you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so following Jesus is an interesting concept. And that's why I sort of resist that, like, oh, this was my moment of conversion. Because it's like, well, that's maybe when you made the decision.
Right.
But are you actually following him?
Did that come to fruition?
And what are the words of Jesus? If anyone would come after me, they must deny themselves, take up their cross and follow me. I think that we treat that as like, well, if you want to be really serious.
It's a suggestion. Like,
if you want to be one of like the intense ones. But he's saying, no, like literally the road I'm walking on is the road of denying myself. I mean, the cross, that's what he did. So I'm just letting you know that if you say you're going to follow me, that's the road I'm walking on. Right. And so literally, if you follow me, you'll be walking on that road. Yeah. And if you're not doing that, you're not following me.
It's a heavy calling, isn't it?
It is.
So what you're saying is that, I did the moment of decision, yes, but did it continue? Was it a real conversion?
Right.
Is that kind of like
yeah, I mean, like marriage, right? Like wedding ceremony. I stood up in front of a bunch of people and said, I do, But but if I go out and I don't, cool. Like, you said the stuff at the wedding ceremony, but like,
till death do us part.
Right. Like,
really?
It really is. But how am I treating my wife day in and day out? Am I actually connecting with her? Am I actually saying, hey, like, you know, that stuff I said about forsaking all others, like, hey, I'm still like, let's do this. Like, and that's like, you know, I think that we shouldn't be shy about comparing marriage to our relationship with God, because he actually started that. Yeah. You know,
100%.
And so I think that I think that if we would look at marriage and compare it to our relationship with God and like say, well, what type of behavior in a marriage would trash the marriage? Oh, well, that's how I'm treating God. So do I really have a relationship with him? You know, I think that it calls our bluff really quick when we make it literal and something that's right in front of us going like, oh shoot.
Yeah. You're taking this from head knowledge to, did it actually transform your life?
Right.
And are you really all in? Like Paul had a moment, you know, the road to what is it? The road
Damascus.
To Damascus.
Yep.
So where he had a real encounter with Jesus and was blinded. And so sometimes we actually want that type of conversion. Like, yeah, it really happened on this day.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I don't really know when I accepted the Lord. I just know it was during a period of time, 1997, 98, somehow, right? So, but I think the question is, am I still following him? Do I actually know his word? Do I actually obey his word? You know, am I following him? So it's great thoughts there. All right, so you grew up in different locations. What were you like going through like middle school and high school? Did you do in sports? What do you do?
Yeah, I loved sports. I mean, loved sports. As all the way back to like a little kid. I was telling somebody recently about a birthday present that I gave my older brother. And this has been mid-'80s, you know, no internet.
Yeah.
We didn't have cable. We didn't have, you know, where are you getting your information?
Yeah.
And somehow I had a lot of information. I did collect baseball cards and watched whatever sports I could get my hands on, which was very, very little. You know, you'd Wide World of Sports on Saturday, not much. I made a book, a handwritten book for my brother with every detail of every sports fact that I knew. Like I wrote it out in this book, and I had like players and like, you know, what jersey number they wore and, you know, what their height was and like all of what team they played for. And I laugh at it looking back because he must have just been like, oh, cool, like neat. Yeah. But yeah, I loved sports. Like I ate sports and I drank sports and I slept sports and everything was all about sports all the time. And then I grew up to be 5'7".
Okay.
So, you know, basketball being my favorite sport when I was young. I spent a lot of time playing basketball, but I'm 5'7", so you know, there's not a ton of future there.
Right.
I wish I would have gotten to soccer sooner.
Okay.
Not U.S. soccer. I have strong feelings about the way we play soccer in America.
Right.
But the way the world plays soccer, I love the sport, and I really, really enjoy playing it. I don't play very often, but and I'm loving the World Cup right now.
Totally. All right, so you grew up playing basketball and a little soccer. Soccer came later. Well, you were homeschooled, so how do you get involved in sports if you're homeschooled?
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, a lot of just pick up stuff. You know, I did play basketball my senior year in high school, and that was a horrible experience. You know, to step into something as a senior, they don't care. They haven't invested in you. You have no future with them. Yeah, and it was pretty rough. And the coach, his style of play was very fundamental, and you know, check the box, and everything is just very structured, and that's not how I played basketball at all. I mean, I played on the street, like you know, just cutting and slashing and like getting the job done. Totally. And so it was just a weird mix, and that was not a great experience. Yeah. So I like sports because they're games that we play, not because they're structures that we then get obsessive about and, you know, reverse engineer and figure out how to conquer and dominate this thing. It's like, hey, you know, these are games ultimately, so let's treat them like that. Yeah. But
where were you when you graduated? So you're a senior. Where was that at?
Colorado.
Yeah.
So we were in Montana for a while. We spent 2 years on a Native American reservation in eastern Montana.
Okay. That's interesting.
Doing ministry. That's where the stories come in that I'm not going to tell.
I've been on only one mission trip, and it was on a reservation in Arizona. So I kind of know the demonic.
There's a lot
of stuff there.
A lot going on. Yeah. And then, you know, stuff that happens, the politics of ministry, which I'm even more aware of now than I've ever been. I've worked at a bunch of churches, and it's just a lot that goes on. And a lot of stuff went down that had a big impact on my family. Yeah. And we moved to southern Colorado and just kind of, I guess, licked our wounds a little bit.
You're talking mom and dad at that time? Okay.
Yeah. And so that's where my senior year in high school, we moved there right before my senior year. the one good thing that, not one good thing, a good thing.
Yes, there you go.
That came out of our time on the reservation was we didn't have any friends and there was hardly anything to do. So that's where I learned to play the guitar.
Ooh, okay.
It was just like, well, and, well, interestingly, right before we moved there, the summer that I was 15, I started writing poetry, like lots of it, like kind of out of nowhere. Just like I was filling notebooks up with this poetry, and it was like philosophical, deep questions about the world. Just like, what the heck is like? I'm, there's this 15-year-old writing all this stuff, and that same summer, my parents, we were living in the middle of Montana just for a few months, like the middle of nowhere, like a town of like 200 people with gravel streets, like the middle of nowhere. And they were like, hey, we heard about this prophetic guy who's going to be in this nearby town, and we want to go and just be there. He's going to be at this church this evening. So we go there. We're sitting in the back of the room, and this guy up front, this prophetic guy, he points at me in the back of the room, and he says, young man, do you play the guitar? I said, no. He said, well, you need to learn, because someday you're going to marry a girl who sings, and you're going to need to be able to play the guitar.
Dude, that's good.
And I was like, okay, maybe I will do that. And it was handy because my dad played like a bit of guitar, definitely enough. I mean, he would sing songs to us and play and whatnot. And he had tried to teach me a couple times prior to that, and it hadn't stuck. So at that point I was like, okay, Dad, like, let's try this again. And then it stuck. Okay. So I'm already writing all this poetry, and then I start learning guitar. And so about a year into that, I started writing songs. Horrible, horrible songs that will never see the light of day. I mean, terrible. Okay. Terrible songs. Again, filling notebooks with this stuff. I mean, I was writing 3 or 4 songs a week for years, just like churning them out. And every time I'd sit my family down and make them listen to this new song I wrote, and they would smile and nod, and but just horrible stuff. And a lot of times, like with young songwriters, they're like, I wrote this one song, and I'm like, cool, come talk to me when you've written 100. You know what I mean? Like, keep going writing, because you need to view them as stepping stones. Hey, that was terrible, but I stepped on it and got to the next one, which is maybe not quite as terrible. And then I stepped on that and got to the next, and and that's the way you need to view it, and just keep going. Anyway, that's where I learned to play guitar. It was on the reservation. Dude, and okay, so you were young. I started reading the classics, because there's nothing to do. And so I'd go to the library, and I would try to find, like, okay, what do people consider to be classic literature? And then I would go get those and read them. Okay. So I was odd, even though I was into sports. It's very enigmatic in that sense, like very into sports and like athletic and all of that. But then I had this other side that was very philosophical, very thoughtful, very like exploring the deeper things. And so that's always been a weird tug of war that I've lived with. Interesting. Yeah. After high school, where'd you go? Where did I go? I didn't go anywhere. I stepped right into carpentry work, because where we lived in Colorado, there was these giant homes being built, and my dad was doing that for work. And I already had worked with him for years off and on. And so I was able to step in as a carpenter, not as a laborer, like step in and actually start working right away and making a lot of money. And I thought, well, shoot, maybe I'll just do this. And so did that for a while. And then my parents kind of sat my older brother and I down and were like, hey, so it's great that you guys are just living here and building houses and having a good time and whatnot. But, don't forget, like, you grew up in ministry, around ministry, especially like YWAM, Youth with a Mission. We'd love it if you guys maybe wanted to go off and do a discipleship training school with YWAM. And we were kind of surprised by that, because things didn't end fantastically with that for my parents. And so that was them saying, we're sure it wasn't the best thing, and maybe it was painful and difficult, but we know there's still enough good there, and we love, this is my parents speaking, we love what they do with discipleship, and we'd love to see you guys go. And so at the same time we went, I went to Switzerland, he went to Spain,
No
And we
kidding.
did our DTSs, and that was just a life-changing experience again.
Yeah.
Like just another step in that journey of going deeper, following Jesus.
Yeah.
I went to Kazakhstan on outreach in the middle of winter. It was freezing cold.
Where's that at?
It's like the very bottom of what used to be the USSR.
Okay.
And so it's the very bottom, right below Russia.
Yep.
9th largest country in the world, believe it or not.
No
By
kidding.
size. Yep. They have tons of natural resources, but when we were there, their president had just become a billionaire.
What? Okay.
Because of what he was doing with the natural resources. So a little bit of corruption going on over there. Yeah. This doesn't get aired in Kazakhstan, does it? No.
Probably not.
That was a long time ago. And then we rode a train. We took a 4-day train ride from Almaty, Kazakhstan to Beijing, China.
How cool is that?
It was really cool. It was wild. We were the foreigners. And so.
What year was that, by the way?
This would have been the very beginning of 2001.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 25 years ago.
This is wild because when we got to Beijing, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, had just been there because they were in the final stages of awarding the Summer Olympics in, I think, 2008.
Okay.
Is when it happened.
Yeah.
6 or 8, I'm not sure. So one of the first days we were in Beijing, we're sitting in Tiananmen Square. There's like a little square of grass with like flagpoles in it, kind of towards the Forbidden City end of Tiananmen Square. And some of my teammates and I are sitting on the curb. We're waiting for a bus or something. I don't know. And I look behind me, and the grass has all been painted green.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And the person that we were with, there was somebody like guiding us around. They were like, oh yeah, well, the IOC was here last week. And so the whole city has been completely like done up to impress them. And so they had like bust out homeless people, like all kinds of stuff to make
Salem, Oregon.
the city look as good as it could possibly. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Exactly. Because the Ironman's this weekend, so they did exactly that.
Yeah. So actually the other day I just saw Tiananmen Square on something on the news, and I paused it and I was like, kids, remember the story I tell about the painted grass? That was the painted grass. And it was right there on the TV.
Tiananmen Square. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
It's the big square where there was like the protest in the 80s, I think.
Okay.
It's a huge, it's not a square, it's a rectangle, but it's a public square.
Yeah.
And the Forbidden City is right at the end of Tiananmen Square. And then in the middle of the square also is where Chairman Mao is lying at rest.
Okay. Interesting.
I went in and saw him. I thought, well, hey, I'm here. I should probably go in and pay my respect.
A little history there. My daughter did a DTS. She went to Australia for 3 months. Went to Azerbaijan, which is probably close to where you're at.
Yeah,
for
probably.
her outreach. So, yeah, it was a great experience. It was weird having her gone for 6 months, but a lot of growing there for sure.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, our second oldest, our oldest daughter, just did her DTS last year.
She did.
Had a great experience. Yep.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about marriage. So how long have you been married?
Almost 24 years.
What's your wife's name?
Danielle.
Danielle.
Yeah.
And you met her in New York City?
I did.
Okay, tell that story. I got to hear that one.
Okay, so I got to back up really. Well, maybe I won't. Yeah, maybe I will. In Kazakhstan, one night I had a dream about going and doing a school at the Montana YWAM base.
Okay.
And that was not on my list of things to do. I have reasons for that. And so I knew the dream wasn't coming from me. So I woke up from it and I was like, okay. It was a very vivid dream. And I'm not really a dreamer. Like I dream a little bit, but I don't have like lots and lots of them. And so I was like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing next fall. And they have what's called the School of Worship, a YWAM school, where they train up worship leaders. And I had known about it, but I didn't want to be a worship leader. I wanted to be a songwriter. And I resented the fact that because I was a Christian and I played guitar, everybody thought I should be a worship leader. And I was like, well, not necessarily. Like, what if I want to do something else?
Exactly.
Anyways, that's a whole other story. But so got home from overseas, signed up for the School of Worship. 2 days before the school started, 9/11 happened.
Okay.
So like right before. Like I had a bunch of classmates who had problems getting there because of flights and all of that. And so because of 9/11, the students in the school kind of lobbied the staff and said, hey, normally we would go on outreach overseas. That's typically what you do. But we really want to go to New York City and do relief work because of 9/11. And so that's where our outreach went. And so we got to New York City in December of 2001. So just a couple months later.
Yeah.
The city was very raw, still very torn apart. I mean, the pit, and like all of it was just like, it felt like it happened like the day before. Like it was so, just everything was dirty and dusty and all the windows blown out. And it was very intense. But a month into that, we were there for 2 months total, December and January. Early January, a different YWAM team arrived from a different YWAM base, and one of the people leading that team was my future wife, Danielle. And so our teams like met up for a Bible study on a Sunday night. They're like, hey, we said, hey, come over to where we're staying. We'll have a Bible study. And she walked through the door, and it was that quick. I was just like, who's that? And it was, I found out later, completely mutual. She walked through and she's like, whoa, what's that? And when we went, we did like breakout sessions, like little small groups. I found out later she followed me to the one that I went to because she wanted to see what I was like.
Yeah.
And we hit it off pretty quickly, I think would be an understatement. Within 2 weeks, we were at the Guggenheim. They had a Norman Rockwell exhibit going. So they had like all of his originals, like these huge paintings.
Yeah.
And my wife's an artist, so she loves art of any kind, not of any kind, but of most kinds. And she was like, oh, the Guggenheim, they're doing this Norman Rockwell thing. So we went there, and we already knew we liked each other at that point. Like that was no surprise. And so we found ourselves sitting on a bench in the Guggenheim talking about what it would look like if we got married. And this is 2 weeks after we met.
2 weeks in.
2 weeks, yeah. And so we were married 9 months later. We would have got engaged sooner, but we, out of respect for our families and stuff, she was still living in Tennessee at the YWAM base there. And so I helped her move back home, and then we kind of got settled in for the summer, and then we got officially engaged and then got married in October. But it was funny because the leaders of my school had approached me before and said, hey, in the spring, we're going to the Tennessee YWAM base to do a school of worship there. And we think you would be a great addition to staff that school. Okay. And I was like, why would I want to do that? I don't want to do that. And then I meet Danielle and I was like, wait, which base are you from?
Tennessee.
She told me, and I went back to my leaders and I was like, so I don't know if you're still looking for staff, but totally ulterior motives. But
that's funny.
Hey,
was she from Tennessee or where was she?
No, she's from Eastern Washington.
Okay, so she did her DTS.
She did her DTS,
and outreach was in.
Well, so she was there for like 3 years because she did her DTS, did another school or two, and then was on staff for quite a while, and was actually leading a DTS outreach to New York City.
Gotcha.
So
you got married, you said within 9 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
She's the one.
Oh, we just knew it through and through, which it's a great story now. Yeah. At the time, there was some raised eyebrows and some like, oh, that seems kind of fast. Now it's a fun story to tell because it's like, yeah, pretty sure it was a good decision.
People love to make judgment on, you guys will never make it and you could do this and you do. Everybody has an opinion, but we always leave God out of that. Like whatever God has in mind, I mean, look, marriage is tough. I don't care which marriage it is. Oh my gosh. And so tell me how yours is so great that we all experience the same stuff.
And the funny thing is when you meet somebody like in an environment like Youth with a Mission, there's a whole set of things that you already have in common. More than likely, let's say, like highly, highly, highly likely. Right. You're pretty passionate about following Jesus to the point where you are like giving of your time. You don't get paid to be in YWAM, right? So like you've sacrificed a lot to be doing this thing. And so when you meet someone else in that environment, you already know, like there's a whole set of things that really important things that we have in common. And so it does tend to accelerate it.
Yeah. Yeah. When you know, you know.
When you know, you know. Yeah.
What was about your wife other than she was probably pretty, What was the characteristic that you really found that you loved about your wife?
I think that like she's good looking.
Okay.
Like you said,
Fair.
I'm just going to be fair with that. That's why I noticed when she walked through, I was like, wow, she's good looking.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that we get, especially as Christians, we get really funny about that. We're like, oh, well, I don't want to be superficial. And you're like, well, I got to live with this.
Hot.
I have to live with this person, right? Like it would be great if I could look at her and go, oh, I like looking at her.
Yeah. I fell in love with my wife because she was hot. You know, whatever. Sue me.
So I think the thing that really accelerated as we started spending time together was we could talk for hours.
Yeah.
Just these deep conversations, and not like me talking at her or her talking at me, but like back and forth, just like, and that has never stopped. It has never changed. I mean, literally this morning.
Yeah.
Normally I'm gone for work pretty early, but because of doing this, I had a bit more time at home. And
so probably like that.
Yeah. So we were at the table with our Bibles and our coffee, and of course, another conversation. I mean, that's why I was almost late getting here, because I was so thoroughly engrossed in the conversation I'm having with my wife. And so that was a thing that right away we connected on, and it has continued for a long time now.
Speaking of that real quick, because I think I meet a lot of guys, and I think marriage is challenging. Guys are visual, women are more emotional.
Yeah.
How do you think you engage with your wife, and how do you guys connect so deeply? And 24 years into marriage, you're still connecting deeply, because I think that's the greatest struggle most marriages have. You're dating somebody, you're in love, it's all great, and all of a sudden you get married, and then you kind of begin doing your career. So how do you guys stay connected?
So I think the question is, what are you connecting on?
Oh.
And so
that is a great question.
What we were connecting on at the very beginning was God and the things of God and our relationship with God. Those were our conversations at the very beginning of when we very first started talking. And again, we're in this environment where it's like, hey, like we've given up everything to just be here, giving our lives to God. And so of course it's on the forefront of our thoughts. Yeah. But those were our conversations at the very beginning, and those still are our conversations. The one this morning over the table, we're talking about the book of Genesis, like, and this is just the subject that we connect on is God. And I love A.W. Tozer is one of my favorite authors, and he talks about how 1,000 pianos tuned to the same tuning fork will be in tune with each other, and how like our focus needs to be connection with God. Because then if I'm connecting with God and if you're connecting with God, it's going to be pretty easy for us to connect. And so like with my wife, that's the theme, is that like that's what we connect on. And I think I've done, we do a decent bit of premarital counseling and various stuff like that. And something I like to bring up a lot is be careful not to build a relationship on something that could change. Let's say you meet at the rock climbing gym. Yeah. And you're like, our relationship is based on the fact that we both love to climb rocks. Yeah. What happens if, God forbid, one of you loses an arm? Yeah. What's going to happen to your relationship? And so you have to be really careful what you build a relationship on. And as Christians, we would say the only thing that can't possibly change is God himself. And so that's what you should build your relationship on.
Hey, what a concept. That's a mic drop right there. I think we miss that. I think in marriage, we marry the girl that we think is great, then all of a sudden we try to change them to think like we are, but we marry them because they're different. And I see that just going down the wrong road, but we're not connecting on the one thing that matters. So well said, dude. That's really good. All right. So you meet her. How soon until you guys have kids? And by the way, how many kids do you have?
We have 5.
It's funny, the guy I met this morning, he has 5 kids. They had 2 kids and they had triplets.
Oh my God.
So, hey, I'll leave it at that, but yeah.
Yeah, that'd be intense.
You have 5 kids?
We have 5. Yeah, so our oldest was born 18 months after we got married. So there's like all these 9-month things. So we got married 9 months after we got married. Yeah. I'm sorry. We got married 9 months after we met. Yes. And then 9 months after that, we got pregnant. So then 9 months after that, we had our baby. Yeah. So there's all these
9 months of 9. Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 5 kids.
What's your firstborn, boy or girl?
Boy.
Boy. What's his name?
Brennan.
Give me your names of your kids and ages.
Brennan is 22.
Come on.
Sienna is 20. Warner is 18. Victor is 16. And Geneva is 13.
3 boys, 2 girls.
3 boys, 2 girls. Yep.
All right. How close are they?
I would say extremely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've moved around a fair bit as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And so similar thing with my siblings, where that kind of becomes your community.
Yeah.
So they're very close. They have, a lot of shared interests. We are a preposterously creative household.
Love it.
I write a ton, as I've said. My wife is a phenomenally gifted artist.
Yeah.
And she's constantly creating something, whether it's paintings or you're making something or whatever. And so our kids, having grown up in that environment, are kind of like taking it to these extreme exploding levels of the stuff that they're doing and creating. And
I love that.
It's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I'm the only person in my house who can't draw.
Full confession.
Yeah, don't come to dad and ask him to draw your horse. Go find one of your siblings.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Not going to happen.
Can't do it. Well, God created us, and so God is a creative God. He created the universe, and He created us in His image to be creative. And I think that's one of the joy hearing your story of learning how to play guitar or write music. It's pretty cool. Let's talk about music real quick. One of your passions is music. True?
Yeah, songwriting specifically.
Talk about that. I mean, what does that mean to you? And we're going to hear a little bit more about your album that you have.
Yeah, I just love writing songs. But it's not actually because of the music.
Okay.
I'm very much a lyrics first guy.
Okay.
So like when I hear a song anywhere, I'm always listening for the lyrics, not because I'm trying to, but because that's just what I'm listening for. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of people who are the opposite. They might not even hear the lyrics until numerous listens through it. My sister is a way better musician than I am. She's in the classical world, and she's that way. Like lyrics, I'll point something out, and she'd be like, "Oh, I hadn't really listened to the lyrics," and I'm like, "What do you mean you hadn't listened to the lyrics? Like, how could you?" So it's fascinating how our brains are wired different ways to key in on different stuff. Yeah. For me, it happens to be lyrics, and like I said, I was writing poetry before I started playing music. Yeah. And so music is a vehicle for the lyrics. It is a vehicle and the lyrics matter because it's communication. It's thoughts. And I'm not remotely saying this is for everybody. Yeah. There's all types of music and all kinds of people who love different kinds of music. But for me personally, the reason I love songwriting is it's such a great way to convey thoughts. And I've finally discovered that I'm actually, I have a pretty heavy prophetic calling on my life. Okay. People used to tell me that, and I would argue with them. Not argue, but I would just quietly disagree with them and walk away. Until I realized that my misconception of prophetic things is that it's all about foretelling the future. Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't do that at all. Like, God doesn't speak to me in dreams or visions. I don't. But what I missed is that, like, even if you look in the Old Testament, a lot of what they were doing was essentially holding up a plumb line. Yeah. God's word. Yeah. And saying, hey, don't forget this thing God said. Yeah. And God would just send them places to be like, hey, I need you to go over there and hold up the plumb line again so they can see what straight is and go, oh, well, I've been living like this. And, oh, what's that? And they may or may not choose to do anything with it, but that's not the prophet's problem, right? If you will. It's a, hey, I asked you to go there and hold up the plumb line.
Whether people respond or not, God still called you plumb line.
And so what's crazy is looking back, realizing as a 15-year-old writing that poetry, I was already doing that. That's what I was, in a very crude way, but that's what I was already kicking the tires on, was like what that looks like. And like, that's what I was writing, is these thoughts about like, wait, the Bible says this, but we're doing this and all of that. And so my songs are prophetic in that sense, not in the foretelling sense, but in the sense of, hey, let's not forget what God's word says. And
like it.
But I don't write on the nose. Like I don't listen to very much Christian music anymore because I think that it's fairly cheesy and corny and way too on the nose of like, hey, everything's picture perfect in this neat little thing and like that.
Is that really Christian music? Really?
Right. And so people ask me, well, is your music Christian? And I'm like, well, let me put it this way. I'm a Christian and I wrote it.
Yeah.
So I guess according to that definition, yes, it's Christian music. But I write the way that I live. And so some of it's not overtly like, oh, listen to me talk about Jesus.
Right.
And actually there was a song I released a few years ago. It's called What Would It Take? And it's about the prodigal son, but like right before he decides to come home.
Okay.
And so he's contemplating this idea of like, basically what would it take?
Yeah.
What would it take to go back and be reconciled? And then the punchline is, what would it take for me? Which I think is the big question of like, oh shoot, like, oh, I want reconciliation, ... And then God's like, okay, well, here's the part you would need to play in it. And you go, hold that thought.
Yeah. I'll come back.
I'll circle back on that. Anyways, it's a great song. One of the radio stations that played it, the one guy who works at the radio station, I think he owns it actually, his text back to me was like, hey, love the song, great song. Gosh, I wish you would have tied it back and talked about God in it somewhere. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, this is all about God.
Yeah.
It's all about our relationship with God and like our insistence on like, I need to use the phrases and the catchphrase, all of that to me points all the way back to this cultural Christianity thing where it's like, we don't know it's Christian until the phrase hits us in the face versus being able to go, no, like through my lens of like biblical worldview, I understand that this concept is just drenched in God without even saying the name. You know, because weirdly, we kind of get into this magic potions or secret, oh, if I say these words in this order, then I'll get this result. And you're like, that's not actually Christianity at all, but we treat it like that.
Well, your question is, what would it take? Then what would it take for me? Referencing the prodigal son. Yeah. God's calling you. Hey, come on back.
Yeah.
What do I want to do with that?
Right. What am I going to have to give up?
Well, what? Yeah.
Ooh,
hey, the pigs are eating better than me. I've got to actually humble myself and say, yes, I need you, Father. That's a great story, man. Yeah. I like that song already. I haven't heard it, but I want to listen to it.
Yeah, you should check it out.
Okay.
It was a single, so it wasn't on an album or anything, but it's all on the internet, wherever.
Okay, how many albums you got?
5.
You have 5 albums. Yeah. Is this your most recent one?
This is my most recent one. This one is very new, just came out in May. I got to go back to Nashville and work with some old friends on this. So the music is very top notch, better than what I deserve, certainly. I'm really excited about the songs. My son did all this art, the photography and graphic design. I love, look at the back here. It's, we did like a kind of a crossword puzzle with the song titles. And the cover art, you can see I'm sitting on a small rocking horse, and it looks very ridiculous. You need to hear the song High Horse to understand the significance of this. It's a song, High Horse as a song is the reason we made the album. Like there was something about the song that just said, hey, you need to get this recorded. And so then it became, oh, do we want to do a few more songs while we're doing that one? And so that's kind of how the album came to be. But I like to say, so there's 5 songs on here. It is, let's see, 1, 2, 3 songs about sanctification, 1 song about my wife, and 1 song about the Holy Spirit.
Come on.
So
I like it, man.
But see, if you're listening to it through your Christianese lens, the song that's about the Holy Spirit, you're going to be like, but you never talked about the Holy Spirit. Well, yeah, but like think about it. Yeah. So I like to make people think. I use a lot of sarcasm.
Yeah, I love sarcasm.
The reason that I will continue to use sarcasm, I realized this a few years ago, and it totally changed my perspective on it. Sarcasm forces the listener to think.
Yeah.
See, because let's say it's 100 degrees outside, and I make some quip about like, man, has anybody got a jacket I could borrow?
I love that.
Right? You go, oh, wait a second. It's 100 degrees out here. He's joking. Yeah. He's being sarcastic. But you had to think about it. And the whole push against, sarcasm is disrespectful or whatever. Well, yeah, biting sarcasm is. But other sarcasm is simply making the listener think. And I look at how Jesus taught, and he was constantly saying things that were forcing people to go, wait a second, what? Huh? Yeah. What does he mean by that? And I'm not going on the record to say Jesus was highly sarcastic. No. I'm simply saying that idea of speaking in a manner that kind of gently helps people to learn how to think is probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think Jesus did that well. He asked questions.
Yeah.
Who is it that you say that I am, guys?
Yeah.
There might have been some sarcasm there. I mean, I think it's funny how Jesus spoke. So yeah, I like sarcasm too. It's funny. But I think you're right. Asking people questions, making them think about it. Yeah. I always say when it's 100 degrees, man, it's starting to cool down out here. No. Right? Yeah.
Wait, no, it's not.
Sarcasm might be my first language. I got to be careful about that because,
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know. Do you want to play a song? Is that something you want to do?
If you think it'll work in here, let's do it.
Well, I've done it before, so let's pause for a moment. We'll grab your guitar and do it.
I'll play the one about the Holy Spirit.
Dude, come on, bro. Let's do it. Grab your guitar.
So this song's called The Other Side. It's the 5th one on the album. And it's the one that's about the Holy Spirit. My joke about the Holy Spirit is that we're okay surrendering to God the Father because he's seated on the throne in heaven. And we're fine with surrendering to Jesus because he's seated at the right hand of God the Father in heaven. And they're both a long ways away. But when it comes to surrendering to the Holy Spirit, that's a whole other thing because he lives inside of us and we're a little bit terrified of, oh shoot, he's pretty close. If I surrender to him, I don't know what he's gonna be up to. But so this song is kind of about that. When the walls come down and you see what's really out there, it's hard to live pretending that it's not. When the surface breaks and you see what's underneath, I don't believe you'll ever be the same. 'Cause there's more than meets the eye. There's hope that's deep and wider than the sky. And if you'll open up and let go and step over the edge, you'll find life on the other side. When you reach the end of everything that's working, and you finally have to let go of the reins, you'll be amazed at the world that lies before you, and you'll see why hanging on was such a waste. 'Cause there's more than meets the eye. There's hope that's deep and wider than the sky. And if you'll open up and let go and step over the edge, you'll find life on the other side. Oh, God will always be waiting patiently. You're never alone, and he is ready to take you deeper if you'll give him control. There's more than meets the eye. There's hope that's deep and wider than the sky, and if you'll open up and let go and step over the edge, oh, if you'll open up and let go and step over the edge, you'll find life on the other side.
Dude, that was awesome. Well done, man.
Thanks.
That's a great song. Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
I felt it. So how long have you been, so when was your first album produced?
The first one that I will claim, when I say 5, that's 5 that the world will ever know about.
Yeah, exactly. That's fair.
It was 2012.
Okay.
So we were living in Nashville.
Okay.
And it was a long story of death to dreams and death to the way that I wanted to use the gifts that God had given me, and surrendering to what his idea was, which, interestingly, earlier I mentioned not wanting to be a worship leader, wanting to be a songwriter. Part of that surrender was finally surrendering to leading worship.
Yeah.
And falling in love with it. In my early 30s, I finally fell in love with leading worship, and I still love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the first album kind of came out of that very difficult journey. Met some amazing, wonderful people through getting involved with worship at my church. Yeah. And that's who produced my first album. That's who actually went back. That's who produced this one as well.
Okay.
So I did my first 2 with them. It's a husband and wife back there. And then we left Nashville, moved out here, lived in California for a little while, came back. So released a couple albums during that time. Good albums. But then for this one, I was talking to my friend in Nashville again, and we talked, man, maybe it'd be fun to do another one together. And so last fall, I was able to go back and get this one tracked out. But
dude, that's so cool. Well, dude, we're going to wrap up, man. Our hour plus is over. I can see us doing this again because I think you have a lot to unpack. There's probably more. I want to hear more just where your songwriting takes you to. So we didn't really talk much about your worship as a worship leader right now. You're taking a little hiatus from that. Yeah. Maybe we'll pick up on the next one and talk more about that, see where God's taking you. Yeah. And
I would love to talk about that subject, actually. So yeah, I'd love to come back.
Yeah, I want to come back to that because I think it's okay. You know, God has you where he has you, exactly where he wants you, and it's all good. Yeah. Right? So I just want to say thanks for being here, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
No, it was fun. Hey, thanks for being here this week. Love having you guys here. Love having just sharing these stories with people. We're going to have Tennison on again. It's a great story. Hope you pick up some of his music. And if you ever want to be on the podcast, if you know somebody who would love to be on here, send them over, man. I'd love to meet them. I'd love to meet people. You already know that probably if you've been listening for any time at all. But Tennison, thank you so much for being here. Yeah. Thanks for sharing your life. And I love your family. I've never met them before, but you're a great husband who loves his wife. I think it's really important. Your kids need to see that. And I believe that they are. So keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. And as far as finding this, all my music is everywhere on the internet that you would find music. So Tennison Shetler. You can go to my website, tennisonmusic.com. You can contact me through there if you want to reach out. Also, a bunch of my wife's artwork is posted on that website that you can go check out. So, yeah. So I'll put the website on the show notes. Perfect. So when people can go there, they can check out your music, connect with you, connect with your wife, your family. Yeah. I bet you'd reach out and have coffee with somebody and share a story. Yeah. All right. Thanks for being here this week. We really appreciate you. We'll see you next week.